All right, Hayley Woodin with Business in Vancouver is joining us this morning with the end of the road for another BC LNG project. Hayley, which one is this now?
This is the Aurora LNG project. It's a project by Nexen. It was a $20 billion deal that would have seen 24 million tons of LNG flow from BC to the Asian markets every year. A major project, and Nexen canceling any work on a feasibility study that would have seen the viability of the project and determined whether it wanted to move forward. It's pulling the plug, and it's saying that market conditions are to blame, that macroeconomic factors simply don't support the development of a multi-billion-dollar project in Prince Rupert at this time. It sounds very similar to what we heard earlier this year from Petronas, which canceled its $36 billion Pacific Northwest LNG project in BC too. Now, before this week's announcement, there were 3 LNG projects that seemed to be moving forward in BC. We're now left with 2. There still are some major players who have investments in BC, but none of their projects seem to be moving forward either. Shell's project may be the closest, you could say, to actually revving up into production, but Shell had previously deferred making a final investment decision on that one too. Again, it doesn't seem to be politically driven. It seems to be the fact that market conditions really don't support making very, very expensive and costly investments.
All right, and Hayley, as we know, business leaders still waiting to find out more about a new deal for NAFTA, and there is a new term being brought up within the negotiations. What is it?
This is being proposed by the United States, and it's a 5-year sunset clause. So it would see a new NAFTA deal automatically terminated in 5 years unless Canada, Mexico, and the United States can all come to an agreement on extending it. And when you hear that, you sort of have to interpret it as being can't agree on any terms attached to extending it proposed by any one country, and that could put all 3 countries in a very tough spot. Now, the U.S. argues that it's a good thing to look at NAFTA 5 years out. It should be reevaluated. All 3 countries should ensure that it's relevant to any changes taking place. But understandably, Canada and Mexico have been quite critical of this idea. They say it'll prevent businesses from making long-term investments. They can't look 20, 25 years out. They'd have to look 5 years out and wonder if there are going to be some major changes to how they do business. It could also open up NAFTA to more political uncertainty if there are changes in governments. And all 3 countries have important elections coming up over the next several years. The U.S. really pushing this idea. According to the Associated Press, they've been discussing it behind closed doors, but finally making it public. But I mean, this has already felt like a very long and challenging process. Can you imagine going through something like this every 5 years?
Absolutely not. Hayley,
No.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.